We already have 4 fragrances in Paradoxe range, so if you're considering which one might work the best for you, I hope this video will help you in choosing the perfect one. All Paradoxe bottles embody Prada's iconic triangle logo. They have soft edges, so as you can see, they are pretty easy to hold, but each one has a different juice color. I already reviewed all of them in depth. I will link them down in the description box. That's why in this video I'll review all currently available flankers in a bit shorter but still very detailed way. Then I'll compare them and in the end I will rank them, so stay tuned. And welcome back. My nickname is Miri and on this channel we talk in depth about fragrances. We'll start with the original Paradoxe Eau de Parfum. And right away, the name doesn't fit this fragrance. Based on the name Paradoxe, you might expect conflicting notes, some complex duality in the scent, something different and bold. But Paradoxe Eau de Parfum is more on the pleasing and predictable rather than on paradoxical side. But it's a compliment magnet nonetheless. How it smells? Well, Paradoxe Eau de Parfum opens with a fruity, citrusy burst that is slightly on the artificial side, and that combination of fruity pear, tart bergamot, and orangey neroli creates a fizzy mix that reminds me of bubbles in Fanta juice. That's why the fruits in the opening don't smell natural. They smell like fruity aroma used in fizzy carbonated juice. So the top is sweet, it's fresh, it's citrusy, and so pretty. In about 5 minutes, pear dies down and the scent becomes a typical designer white floral perfume with sweet vanillic backbone. However, neroli gives bitter green citrusy hues, while orange blossom has a sweet marshmallow-like facet. So citrusy neroli and that marshmallowy candy-like orange blossom, they give a bit more dimension to the scent. Also in the base, musk joins in and adds a clean laundry-like synthetic freshness, while vanilla has a rich, ambery, bourbon, almost caramelized candy flavor, and perhaps that contrast between fresh and citrusy on one side and candied marshmallow vanilla on the other side, maybe that is the reason why this fragrance is called Paradoxe. I don't know, it's a guess. However, the dry down smells like a warm summer evening. You're wearing floral dress, still smelling of white floral fabric softener, and you're drinking Fanta with few extra sugar cubes. So the Eau de Parfum develops from fruity citrusy top to the floral mid, and it finishes with a clean laundry vanillic base. So at least on my skin, it never becomes too heavy or too sweet. As I said in my initial review, when I first tried the Eau de Parfum, I thought, this is so pretty, but I felt like it was a product of an office meeting in which they wanted to make something that would sell, a perfume that would have the best characteristics of other popular designer fragrances, and they delivered. They took a familiar white floral vanilla combination and made it into something very attractive with a cheerful and easy to wear scent profile. Also, performance is pretty good. It lasts, it projects, and even though it has a citrusy, vanillic, white floral familiar tune, it's so hard to dislike it. This is simply pretty. Yes, it might not deliver what its name promised, but it's still worth the hype in my opinion because it snatches compliments wherever you go. So I will rate the scent and performance of Paradoxe Eau de Parfum with 8 out of 10. In 2023, year after the original, came out the Intense version with the addition of the moss accord. And when I saw they added moss to the note composition, I wasn't overly sure how good this will smell, but I gave it a shot and I'm so glad I did because the moss was the perfect ingredient which elevated the original Paradoxe DNA into something still very mass appealing and likable, but slightly edgier, more sensual, and for me, simply intoxicating. How Paradoxe Intense smells. The opening is pretty much the same. It has the same slightly synthetic pear and citrusy neroli you also have in the Eau de Parfum, but now the scent is deeper, more ambery and sweeter compared to the bubbly, fruity, juicy opening of the original. That's why the opening of Intense smells to me like someone made Fanta juice scented caramels. It's a sweet, fresh, bubbly scent. And then more noticeable differences appear in the dry down because jasmine and moss accord come out and they color cheerful, joyful, fruity sweet opening in darker, greener, more earthy floral tones. And what makes this still very enjoyable, still very approachable is the way moss accord was handled here. It never dominates the scent. It simply adds a smooth, earthy green backbone to typical designer citrusy white floral scent profile. Also, some changes were made in the base as well, because now I get much more of vanilla, but not in a gourmand, edible, sugary way, rather in a powdery, pleasant, sweet way. Also, there are 3 synthetic notes used in the base which amplify ambery, fruity, clean musk, giving some freshness so the scent wouldn't become overly cloying, but that fresh, clean musk doesn't give laundry-like freshness you get in the original. Musk simply brings some cleanliness, and together with vanilla, it softens dark, earthy, bitter bite of the moss accord. That's why in the dry down you mostly get earthy, mossy vanilla with clean, musky florals and sugary, sweet, orangey flavor. So imagine you're walking barefoot in the forest. You can smell the intoxicating scent of forest flowers. You can feel the texture of the moss underneath your feet while you're enjoying Fanta flavored caramels. This is so good. Yes, it's more mature, it's more sensual, it has incredibly captivating scent with a hypnotizing effect because it's truly hard to stop sniffing my hand when I wear it, or even now this tester strip. It smells a bit mainstream, but in a much more sophisticated and edgier way. Somehow, it manages to have more vanilla, but it's less sweet compared to the original because vanilla here smells powdery sweet, deeper and more grown up. It's a very balanced scent that never becomes too sweet, too floral, or too mossy. Also, the lasting power is amazing and the way this gathers compliments is unbelievable. This is such a head-turning fragrance with a magnetic allure because oak moss truly takes it to the next level, bringing some sexy earthiness and giving it a sultry flair. That's why Paradoxe Intense deserves 9.5 out of 10 for its scent and performance. Last year in 2024, we got another flanker called Virtual Flower because jasmine accord in it was created with artificial intelligence to craft the ultimate jasmine scent as it's perceived in nature. I'm not sure why they needed artificial intelligence to create natural jasmine aroma, so for me, that marketing slightly ruined the excitement about this perfume launch. That's why I never bought full bottle of it. I had few samples and thankfully I have one more to use for this video. It opens up with bright, fresh, citrusy bergamot you got in previous 2 fragrances as well. Only now the opening isn't so juicy, fruity, sweet because it lacks prominent pear accord. There is like a touch of fruitiness, but mostly Virtual Flower smells cold, zesty, and citrusy with just a touch of sweetness and a lot of soapy musk. That's why the opening smells to me like you freshly washed hair with some lemony shampoo and then you put white musky hair towel wrap on so your hair could dry faster. As the scent dries down, jasmine becomes the main focal point, while citrusy musky facets from the opening, they stay during the entire scent development. From this point on, Virtual Flower doesn't go through significant changes. Basically, this is a citrusy, musky jasmine perfume. Neroli gives some bitterness, while musk inevitably has clean, laundry-like, crisp cotton linens feel it had in the opening as well. Only now with more prominent soapiness. What is worth mentioning is that jasmine, which is usually very heady, fleshy, indolic white floral accord, here in Virtual Flower, jasmine smells very clean, very light as a modern floral scent that isn't too synthetic. It has certain lightness, a touch of powderiness, and youthful, bright character. So the dry down smells to me like you stepped out of the bathtub. You can still smell bubble bath foam behind you as you're wrapping your hair in the towel and putting on freshly washed, clean bathrobe, still preserving the scent of floral fabric softener. This is a very lovely, soapy, clean laundry scent with fresh, airy jasmine. It has certain lightness, it's not overly sweet, but it smells more like a hair mist type of fragrance rather than something bold, statement-worthy, or groundbreaking. Of course, not every fragrance needs to be earth-shattering. This is something perfect for everyday, especially for warmer weather and daytime use. It's an average performer. It lasts around 5 hours. It's a simplistic, linear scent, easy to wear because it doesn't require too much thought, but I wish it had just a tad bit more personality. I know it's naive to think that artificial intelligence was used for the first time in Paradoxe Virtual Flower, but promoting a fragrance done with artificial intelligence as something inspirational, it just doesn't sit right with me. Buying perfumes made by master perfumers that are a reflection of their own personality, that is artistic, while creating notes with artificial intelligence is like selling books written by ChatGPT and expecting them to become bestsellers. That's why even though I think Virtual Flower smells nice and lovely, it's slightly bland, lacking something in my opinion. However, I would rate it higher than in my initial review, so its scent and performance get 7 out of 10 because this is a nice fragrance. And if you enjoy soapy, musky perfumes, you will like this airy, clean smelling perfume. And the last one is the new 2025 perfume launch, and that is Radical Essence, which comes in the deep pink colored bottle, announcing how thick and intense but also polarizing this fragrance will be. Currently, it has a pretty low rating on Fragrantica, probably because it was launched in the wrong season. Since this is a winter perfume, they shouldn't have launched it during the summer, and also this is labeled as a gourmand perfume with a pistachio note. All those hoping for a sweet, gourmand, fluffy fragrance such as Kayali's Yum Pistachio Gelato, well, all of them will be very disappointed because Radical Essence isn't a typical sweet gourmand fragrance. It starts with fresh, bitter green eucalyptus smelling neroli, a shampooy sweet orange blossom, and strong, salty, nutty woods underneath. And those darker undertones have such a creamy, nutty paste-like feel with only a hint of saltiness, preventing the scent from ever becoming overwhelmingly sugary sweet. Citrusy neroli and shampooy orange blossom serve as a tiny reminder of fruity, citrusy, bubbly sweetness in the Paradoxe Eau de Parfum, but green, nutty, and woody facets overpower those similarities, muting down the original Paradoxe DNA. The top smells to me like you freshly washed hair with a nice citrusy shampoo and you stepped out to your garden surrounded by wooden fence while opening a bag of salty roasted pistachios. After 5 minutes, that nutty, slightly salty pistachio chord, now it comes out in full force. So the scent becomes really dry, nutty, green and woody, but it's mixed with a familiar shampooy, musky, powdery floral backbone from Paradoxe Eau de Parfum. Also, nutty chord now becomes more vague and nutty in general, giving less realistic salty pistachio note compared to how vivid and realistic it smelled in the opening. Now It smells like something between caramel popcorn and open bag full of almonds and salty pistachios with their wooden shells. That's why in the mid, neroli woody pistachio and the original Paradoxe DNA give off bittersweet, caramelly and salty, buttery and dry, fresh and dense aroma. The heart of Radical Essence smells to me like you're preparing for a movie night in the garden. You washed your hair, you prepare snacks, caramel popcorn, almonds and pistachios, you spread blankets near the flowers, and you put a white sheet or outdoor movie screen near the wooden fence. Approximately 2-3 hours into the wear, nuttiness fades away. The original Paradoxe DNA becomes much stronger and you get a ton of creamy, slightly smoky green sandalwood. The base smells like you ate all the snacks and now you're left with the scent of trees and flowers as you finish watching a movie at night in your garden. This is definitely fall and winter fragrance that isn't typically sweet, edible gourmand scent because pistachio here is salty, and also especially in the base, Radical Essence focuses more on the scent of wooden pistachio shells and their green husk rather than on the nut inside. This is a big departure from the original Paradoxe Eau de Parfum, and I know it won't be for everyone because it's very woody, but I enjoy it. And what is particularly commendable is the lasting power and the fact that this is not designer release that plays safe. Initially, when I tried it, I was shocked, I disliked it, but it grew on me so much. The more I wear it, the more I like it. It's strong, so it's not for the faint of heart. It should be tested in cold weather and with an open mind. That's why I would rate its scent and performance with 8 out of 10. So if these detailed reviews were descriptive and helpful, then book the like button, subscribe and hit the notification bell so this video can spread to more people. And here's a quick comparison which one you might like more based on their scent profile. The original and intense are pretty much the same in the opening, and to enjoy them you need to like white florals, but in the dry down differences become more apparent. If you usually like orangey neroli and soapy, musky, sweet florals and you want a carefree, bubbly, flirty scent that smells very feminine and evokes the scent of an evening stroll in a garden bursting with fragrant flowers, then original Paradoxe Eau de Parfum with its easygoing, very likable and mass appealing scent will be something for you. If the original was too safe, too inoffensive for you, and you want something with a bit more character, then the Intense might be just the one for you. If you love jasmine, woody, earthy hues from the Moss Accord with deeper, richer, ambery, more mature vanilla, then check out Intense. It's the scent of a woman smelling forest flowers while embracing the sensation of walking barefoot on the mossy forest floor. It's warmer, deeper, more sensual, more rounded, and more grown-up version of the original. Then comes out Virtual Flower, a fragrance which is still white floral oriented, but with equally strong, clean, airy musk. That's why if you love clean smelling perfumes, soapy musk, green, fresh citrusy neroli and jasmine devoid of any realistic, fleshy, indolic facets, try out Virtual Flower. It's a great spring-summer option with an airy, slightly soapy, cold, fresh character, giving impression of a woman who stepped out of the bubble bath and now she's putting on crisp, clean shirt or bathrobe. Finally, if you want a nuttier and woodier, more winter-appropriate version, you have Radical Essence. This is for those who love sandalwood and pistachio. If you would like a woody, salty pistachio, then this is a must try. It's definitely the boldest Paradoxe flanker so far. And if you want a more serious, more grounded, more mature, and less sweet version with amped up woodiness and nuttiness, reminding you of eating pistachios and almonds as you watch a movie in the garden at night surrounded by the woody floral aromas. This one will be right up your alley. In my opinion, Prada Paradoxe range is pretty successful. I like that Prada launched a new fragrance line and didn't only rely on endless flanker releases. Another thing I really appreciate in Paradoxe range is that aside from the Intense, other flankers actually have memorable and distinguishable names. They aren't called Parfum, Fresh, or any other name that is so overused, at least regarding flanker releases. But I have my favorites. That's why test them for yourself and also try them several times in different occasions during different time of the day and in different moods, because that will change your perception of their scent. And here's my ranking. On the third place with 7 out of 10 is Virtual Flower. It's the lightest of them all, and that means it's average performer at the best, but all those who like extremely transparent, likable, soapy, musky floral perfumes will like it. On the second place with 8 out of 10 are 2 releases. First one is Radical Essence, which is extremely woody pistachio infused edition of the original Paradoxe Eau de Parfum. It's not for everyone. It's for those who appreciate bold, nutty floral sandalwood without its usual gourmand sweetness. And the second one is Paradoxe Eau de Parfum, which is linear, inoffensive, citrusy but sweet white floral fragrance with some bubbliness. It's such a bright, cheerful, easy to wear scent. And that means that on the first place with 9.5 out of 10 is Paradoxe Intense. It has more punch than the original while still maintaining mass appeal and having the same, if not even bigger, compliment magnet factor. This is such a sultry, mossy floral fragrance with vanilla. It smells amazing and I love it. I'm completely under the spell of the Intense version. It simply does the job. It smells likable to almost everyone, but it still has some edge, it lasts, and it gathers compliments. So what else to expect from a fragrance? Of course, this is just my experience with these fragrances, and yours might be completely opposite of mine. And that's completely normal because we are different people with different preferences. So share your thoughts, your experience in the comments, because that will be very helpful to all those watching this video. So yeah, this is it. And if you're interested in watching another detailed in-depth range review, then click on this video next. I will see you there.